Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. I'm a little late, but I also planned to be a little late here. I want to talk about Shanks, but specifically Shanks involving his Haki, and more specifically involving his Conqueror's Haki, or what is it, Color of the Supreme King, as some other, or Supreme Rulers. The point is, I want to talk about what Shanks exactly did at the end of chapter 1055 of One Piece. Now, honestly, I would have probably gotten this out last week, but I didn't have a whole lot of time, and I honestly wanted to see what chapter 1056 did if it was explained. Like, if it was explained, then I don't know. Then at least I'd be talking about what it actually is and not theorizing. So what I'm talking about is Shanks in the last time we saw him in chapter 1055, he used Conqueror's Haki, but he did it in a very, very particular way. Now, the way Conqueror's Haki works is it's basically an exertion of your willpower, right? It's actually very similar to like spiritual pressure from Bleach. Only in this case, not everyone can use it. Unlike Armament Haki and Observation Haki, this isn't something you can just learn to use. You are born with it, you either have it or you don't. Now, the interesting thing, though, about the type of Conqueror's Haki that Shanks used is that he was directing it. It wasn't just a blanket blast of Haki around him. It was very specifically directed at Green Bull. And this is kind of odd. This is the first time we've ever seen this use of Haki, of Conqueror's Haki anyways. And that leads me to think that maybe it's the upgraded version of Conqueror's Haki. Now, there is sort of an upgraded version of Conqueror's Haki in what Luffy was doing against Kaido, in which he was imbuing his strikes with Haki, and more specifically his Conqueror's Haki. But this seems to be different. This requires so much more nuance and control over the Conqueror's Haki that it has to be something more than just, oh, he's directing and that's it. In the other forms of Haki, there are clear upgrades. With Observation Haki, you have the future sight. You are clearly seeing the future just to various degrees rather than just having good reflexes. With Armament Haki, you actually have the ability to put your Armament Haki inside of other things. So it's like you're projecting your Armament Haki, similar to Conqueror's Haki actually, but in this case it's more specific to attacking. So I guess that leaves me with Conqueror's Haki and what exactly this emission of Conqueror's Haki means. Now, based on the chapter, it doesn't seem like it's a perfect control kind of thing. I mean, it is absolutely, but the people on Shanks' crew could still feel it. It wasn't just going directly to Green Bull. There was a very specific comment about how the new members of the Red Hair Pirates were being affected by his Haki. So clearly there's some splashback or some kind of exertion around him, but he's basically moving the bulk of his Haki to Green Bull. With that, along with being able to imbue your attacks with Conqueror's Haki, it makes me wonder of how what else can these characters do with it? I'm sure Luffy will learn how to use Conqueror's Haki in that same way and be able to stretch his Haki so far away, because honestly, that's probably the most important part. Shanks was, well, okay, I don't want to put a number on this, but it seemed like he was miles away from Green Bull and all the fight with the scabbards. So it's not like he was right there and they could just you could just say, oh, he's pushing it in a very specific direction. You can see the lightning bolts, the Haki lightning bolts, moving their way across the sky to where Green Bull was. So he's making a conscious effort to do this and at a long range distance. Conqueror's Haki is one of those things where it's just it seems like a very widespread kind of Haki, right? With Armament Haki, it's very specific in that you can use it for defense for sure, but you're essentially hardening your body. That's why it's an armament, right? You're hardening your body, or in the case of emitting your Armament Haki, you are putting it inside of other people or whatever. I don't know. But you were doing it basically for attacking. With observation Haki, you were actively moving and predicting attacks, and it's very defensive. With Conqueror's Haki, though, it's a little ambiguous as to how you would use it outside of just exerting it, right? So and honestly, I think we're seeing what Oda wants it to evolve into now, with Luffy imbuing his attacks with Conqueror's Haki. So he's basically using both Armament Haki and Conqueror's Haki, and now with Shanks using it and directing it at a very long distance. It makes you wonder, what else can a person with Conqueror's Haki do? I mean, obviously the core structure of it is you are exerting your will onto others, and so you are basically like hoping that you can knock them out or weaken them, right, just by the willpower alone. But is there some other application to it? For instance, we've only ever seen people use their Conqueror's Haki to basically make others submit in some way, whether it's just the normal blast of Conqueror's Haki going out, or how Luffy is using it to specifically power up his attacks. But what if you could use Conqueror's Haki to give people strength of some sort, or fill them with good vibes, essentially, right? The core tenets of Conqueror's Haki is making others submit to you using your willpower, but it seems to me that your inner strength could also be used in a lot of ways, kind of like Bello Betty's Devil Fruit, but you could maybe use it if people feel your Conqueror's Haki. Maybe that it doesn't necessarily give them power. They're not Usopp's not suddenly gonna become Superman, all right? But what I'm saying is that, like, let's say the final war is going on, Luffy is battling somebody, and all of the Straw Hats are having trouble or whatever, right? And then suddenly they feel Luffy's Conqueror's Haki blanketing the battlefield, and not necessarily anybody's going to get knocked out because it's going to be a lot of strong people battling, but I could see a scenario in which that gives the Straw Hats like some kind of like physical, emotional, mental like strength that like kind of pumps them up in a way, feeling their captain's Haki. And maybe that's more specific, that it's like, oh, it's Luffy, so they all feel it and they feel like revitalized in some way. But maybe his Haki, his willpower, could give others strength simply by being him. And that's more specific for him, I suppose. But maybe you can use Conqueror's Haki not just to make others submit, but also to make your friends and allies stronger. So basically, like a buff and debuff scenario. If we're talking about like stats, a lot of the qualities of people that have Conqueror's Haki are that they stand above. They are the leaders. They are those who have nobody above them. They will be at the top in one way or another. As Boa Marigold is saying, the qualities of a king. But being a king doesn't just mean making others submit to you. It means empowering those around you, making those around you better in some capacity, or building up their morale. So I think that there's something to that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is not how Conqueror's Haki works at all. But I think that there's a way that maybe Luffy could use his Conqueror's Haki to, at the very least, mentally embolden his crew and his allies. And honestly, that would be a good defensive use of Haki. While technically the blanket like spread of Haki being just letting it out and whatever, it could knock people out, and that's pretty defensive in its own right. I would argue that it's also more of an attacking kind of Haki, similar to Armament. Especially since both can be imbued to attack. I think something along the lines of a buffing your ally's stats or whatnot is more of a defensive use of it, and being able to make your ally stronger. Now again, it's a little bit like Bello Betty, but not really, because I think that's more, if I remember correctly, the Bello Betty Devil Fruit is more of a kind of. It's kind of like Bello Betty's. If it's explicitly a morale boost, then yes, it's basically like Bello Betty's. So because I think her Devil Fruit mostly just gives people like a morale boost so that they keep fighting. But if it's more than that and it actually gives them like a stat boost, I think ultimately that could be very useful. And maybe in a time of need, the Straw Hats could overcome their issues and their trials and tribulations, especially against Blackbeard, who probably would only, if he has it, I assume he has it. Wait, do we know that he has it or not? He hasn't. He has not used it yet. No, yeah, okay, he hasn't used it yet, but presumably he has it, and I get the feeling that he would only ever use it to make others submit and subjugate others around him. But Luffy's he is the sun god Nika. He is the embodiment of freedom. So I get the feeling that he would use his Conqueror's Haki to embolden his allies and the people around him. So with Shanks using his Haki in a specific way as directing it, it makes me wonder if there's different ways that people can use Conqueror's Haki outside of the blanket spreading mission and imbuing their attacks with it. It seems like a very malleable type of Haki that you could really do whatever you want with it. And that is honestly one of the most exciting things if you really think about it. It could be whatever, especially combined with Luffy's like Devil Fruit and his just personality as a whole. I could see him using Conqueror's Haki in a very unique way. I think I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you guys think about this. Do you think that Luffy will learn to use Conqueror's Haki in any other ways? Is the malleableness of Conqueror's Haki the upgrade for normal, like the normal Conqueror's Haki? What do you think of the idea of using it to give your allies a boost in strength, or at the very least morale? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you liked anything I had to say here. I also do other anime content as well as Pokemon. I will see you guys in another video hopefully very soon. See ya.